So in this video, I'm going to give you my top 12 best-selling woodworking products. Number one is succulent planters. Now, succulent planters have been probably my best-selling woodworking project in the context of craft shows. If you like to sell at craft shows where you set up a little pop-up tent and you're at a festival for a day or a weekend, then I would highly recommend, at least at your next craft show, trying to sell some of these succulent planters. I have a whole video that will be down in the description on how I make succulent planters, but they are extremely easy to make. It's a great way to get scrap wood out of your shop, and also, I've noticed that people, when they see one, will buy one, and sometimes they'll buy like 2 or 3 or 4, especially around Christmas time, especially around Mother's Day. These just tend to be a very good seller. Highly recommend them. Number 2 is a big green egg table. Totally different from succulent planters, but this has been another project that has sold very well for me. Now, really quickly, in case you're like, what is that? Basically, what this is a table made out of pressure-treated pine, just like you can get from Lowe's or Home Depot, but then you cut a circle out of that table so that a big green egg can fit into the table. So basically, if someone has a big green egg and they want a spot to prepare food right there next to the grill, next to the smoker, then they can prepare the food, then put it on the grill. I would say the very important thing here is purchase or find online. I think there's actually some online for free. It's very important that you get all the dimensions right. You want to make sure the radius of your circle is correct. You want to make sure the distance between your tabletop and the shelf beneath that your big green egg sits on, you want to make sure that distance is correct. And also, another thing I'd highly recommend is use some very high quality lag bolts to support this. These things. This is from a company called Fasten Master. They're called Timber Lock, and these, I pretty much have these specifically for these big green egg tables, but they're these really thin lag bolts that have a hex head. It basically replaces a 3/8 of an inch lag bolt. I'll link these down in the description, but these are really good. Number 3 is cutting boards. Now, cutting boards have been, once again, a huge bestseller for me. These sell really well at craft shows is what I've noticed, and I have an entire video that I'll also link down in the description that kind of gives you my tips on how to sell cutting boards most effectively based on your skill level, based on what tools you have, based on your target customer, whether you're trying to sell more high-end cutting boards or more affordable cutting boards, but these sell really well. I just sold 6 identical cutting boards to a friend of mine who is actually running a startup business, and so it was kind of a B2B sale. This is huge. If you can get in with some realtors, with some loan officers, with someone who has their own business where they're going to be giving gifts to their customers, that's really, in my opinion, who you want to be selling to when it comes to cutting boards, because once again, instead of just making one cutting board, I had a client that just bought 6 identical cutting boards. I was able to batch them out, and he's probably going to put in more orders with me in the future. And so I just think that's the most profitable way to sell cutting boards, in my opinion. Number 4 is charcuterie boards. Now, the reason that I differentiate these from cutting boards is that you're not going to chop or prepare food on a charcuterie board. Charcuterie boards are still food safe when it comes to food serving, but not food preparation. A couple of things that I've noticed work really well with charcuterie boards. Number 1, if you can incorporate epoxy, this is always going to be a game changer. I was at a craft show a couple of months back, and I noticed that the products that were drawing people in to my booth, the things that they first went to pick up and look at when they got to my booth, it was projects that incorporated epoxy. It was usually charcuterie boards that had like some really pretty blue epoxy resin or maybe a black epoxy resin. That's what caught people's eye, and that's actually what they paid for. Those are the things that sold really well, and I can even sell those at a higher price point because they're more in depth to make. So if you can make some charcuterie boards, those sell very well. I would incorporate epoxy. I would also, if I were you, look at getting some templates from Crafted Elements. Crafted Elements, they're friends of ours here on the channel. I'll link their website down in the description, but they have router templates to where you can make handles or charcuterie board shapes that are identical. So what's really nice about this is if you have a website, let's say, or you want to post a picture of a charcuterie board, just like, hey, this charcuterie board is $50. You can replicate that exact shape over and over and over and over again, so you don't have to make the charcuterie board before someone orders it. You can get the order, they pay you, and then you make it and give it to them 2 weeks later or whatever. That is really, really nice. Number 5 is cutting board butter. This is another great seller, and this is a great product to pair with cutting boards and charcuterie boards. If you don't know what cutting board butter is, it's this right here. Basically, this is something that I make in my shop with a little wax melter that I have below my workbench. I melt down some beeswax, mix that with a certain ratio of mineral oil, and this is a great, great product to sell for $5 or include with the purchase of a high-end cutting board so that your clients can make sure that their cutting boards stay looking really, really nice, conditioned, all that kind of stuff. I don't recommend this being a primary finish, so I finish my cutting boards and charcuterie boards with some other products, but this is just nice to kind of keep those cutting boards looking fresh after they're sold. Number 6 is outdoor furniture. Now, I've sold lots of different types of outdoor furniture. Adirondack chairs have sold very, very well for me. They're also a lot of fun to make, and you can find lots of plans in books, in woodworking books, or online. They're very, very comfortable, so I enjoy selling them. Another thing when it comes to outdoor furniture that I've sold is big picnic tables and benches to go up on these picnic tables. I've also sold grill prep tables. I've also sold big green egg tables, of course. So there's endless possibilities when it comes to outdoor furniture, but these products sell really, really well. One thing I would recommend doing is once you deliver some furniture to your client, snap a picture and post it on social media and say, hey, I just delivered all this outdoor furniture to, this client, or maybe don't use their name, but this client loves it. Here it is in their space. If you want some outdoor furniture, send me a DM. That's a great way to have your customers lead to more customers. Number 7 is coasters. I would recommend coasters if you are selling at craft shows. And the reason is because coasters you can sell at a very low price point. $5 a coaster, $10 for 2, whatever. Or even as promotional products. Buy a cutting board, get 2 coasters free, whatever. Coasters are also really nice just because you can get scrap wood out of your shop with making coasters. And so if you're like me and you'll find like the tiniest piece of wood and you're like, I can't throw this away, I can make something with it. Coasters can be an effective way to kind of get some of that scrap wood out of your shop, turn that into some money to reinvest in your business. I don't know. To me, they're a fun little project. One more thing I've noticed about coasters as well is epoxy in coasters. Once again, just helps those coasters sell really, really well. Crafted Elements, I mentioned them earlier. Crafted Elements has some great coaster molds that you can use if you're interested in selling coasters. Number 8 is coffee tables. Coffee tables are probably one of my favorite woodworking projects to make for a couple of reasons. I think, at least the way I design my coffee tables can kind of highlight the natural beauty of the wood that you're working with. And so when I'm making coffee tables, I almost always incorporate either live edge or I'll turn the live edge inside and make a river coffee table. In fact, in my office at work, I have a little seating area and I have a black walnut coffee table that I made. It was a lot of fun. I actually have 2 videos on the channel that I'll link down in the description about me making that coffee table. But coffee tables you can sell at a very high price point, but they're pretty easy to make. I'd say they're intermediate as far as skill level. But if you have access to lots of live edge lumber, maybe you have a good relationship with a sawmill near you, selling coffee tables can be a great, great way to make some money. Quick side note, in a couple of weeks from the time I'm recording this video, I'm going to be releasing a video on a desk that I'm making that has a mitered waterfall joint. I know it's on a coffee table, but you could watch that video that comes out in a few weeks and it will show you how to make those joints that you can also apply into coffee tables. And so hit subscribe, and then when that video comes out, I'll link it down in the description of this video, but I'm really excited about that video. Number 9, camp chairs. These are maybe going to be the easiest project to make in this entire list, and I have a video on my process for making these foldable, collapsible camp chairs on the channel. I'll link it down in the description, but these have sold very, very well for me. When people see them, they love the design and they're like, oh my goodness, that's so simple, but really awesome. I want to buy some. Last week, I had a friend reach out to me and say, hey, can I order 4 of these? I'm actually in the middle of a move right now, and so I just told him, hey, I actually just don't have time to make these for you. I'm so sorry. But they have been a great selling product for me. Number 10 is cornhole boards. Cornhole boards are probably an intermediate level woodworking project that can actually be more frustrating to make than you would think. However, there's lots of great plans online to help make you get the angle of the cornhole board right. And I've seen people make beautiful cornhole boards. I've made a few, I've sold a few of these cornhole boards. One tip that I would give you is I've noticed a lot of times people want their cornhole boards for tailgates. So they want to incorporate their favorite NFL team or college football team or whatever. It can get tricky with licensing. If you're going to engrave a team logo on a cornhole board, that can get a little hairy from a legal perspective. What I would recommend doing is just purchasing on Amazon some licensed bean bags. So I sold a cornhole board to a guy who was a Jacksonville Jaguars fan. And I just bought the Jags bean bags that had the licensed logo on the bags, and then I just made the boards more of a natural wood tone look. And he felt like, he's like, you know what, I can use this when the Jags play. And then I think he actually later on bought some Florida Gators cornhole bags because he's also a Florida fan. So he's like, I can use it for either one. Just be careful with licensing. You want to make sure that you're not infringing on someone else's copyright. And so I think a safe way to do that is just by purchasing licensed bags to include with the cornhole boards. Hey, before we move on to the next best-selling woodworking project, if you've enjoyed this video, if you can just hit the like button, that makes a huge difference. And then hit the subscribe button too. It doesn't sign you up for anything. It doesn't cost you any money. It just really is the way to get back on YouTube, and it really means a lot to me. So thank you so much. Now let's get into the next project. Number 11 is refinishing existing woodworking projects. This is something that I was actually surprised when I first got started woodworking, how many people said, hey, I have my grandmother's old cabinet that I want to get refinished, or I have my grandfather's old dining room table that's like a butcher block table that I want to get refinished, whatever it is. People love furniture that's been in the family for a long time, but sometimes that furniture turns colors, it needs to be refinished, someone painted on it, whatever. So this has been a huge business opportunity. Now, I will say, just quite honestly, whenever I do a refinishing project for someone, I just personally am not the hugest fan of it. It's just not the kind of work that I really enjoy. And so I just kind of decided that I generally don't do this unless it's just for friends and I'm helping them out. But if that's something that you enjoy doing, you like the refinishing of a process, of a project, then you can make a lot of money doing this. Another application for me is I helped a friend finish out a mantle that he was going to mount in his house. And so we sanded it down, we applied the finish, we transformed the look of that mantle. And so there's always different kinds of projects that you can refinish for your customers. I just kind of found that it's not my favorite thing to do. Number 12 is check presenters. Now, I'm just going to be honest with you, this has kind of been a fail. I thought when I first started making these check presenters that they would sell a lot better than they have. I made a batch of maybe 20 of these things, and then I went to some local restaurants and said, hey, can I just give you this sample? Can you try out these check presenters? And if you would like to place an order, let me know. And I think this strategy can still work. Most of the restaurant managers were like, yes, we'd love to try it. I'm like, great. And of course, I would attach a business card in the check presenter clip. And then I just never really heard back. So maybe my theory about check presenters being a great selling project is not true. Maybe I just didn't get to enough restaurants. I only probably dropped off samples at like 3 or 4 restaurants. So if you really want to get aggressive with this, you can maybe drop off samples at like 20 or 30 restaurants. The idea is, if they love your check presenters and you can sell them at a good price point, you'll get tons of repeat business. If they open a new location, you're going to get, 30 or 40 more check presenters to make for that location, whatever. So maybe they don't sell well, but I thought they would sell really, really well. So those are my top 12 woodworking projects that sell. Let me know in the comments what have been your best-selling projects. If you've tried some of these projects that I listed, how did they sell? I would love to know. This really helps me for future content. If you have an idea of something that sold very well for you, I would also love to learn from you. So leave that down in the comments. Also, check out the description for lots of helpful links. And if you enjoyed this video, you're going to love these 2 videos because I talk about other aspects of making money with woodworking here. So I'll see you in one of these 2 videos.